Welcome to another edition of GRA's Let's Talk Tax. I'm Juanita Huber, and as always, we are very pleased that you've joined us for this new edition. On today's program, we are talking about liquor licenses. Yes, we have had discussions about liquor and those licenses. In fact, we've talked about other licenses on this program. Today, we want to talk a little bit about the liquor license. And what do you know? I've got two young ladies joining me in studio today to tell me all about the procedure for acquiring a liquor license. We've got Marceline Fields. She is the manager for the License Revenue Division, and she's joined by Ravika Singh, who is the supervisor for the liquor trade and miscellaneous licenses. Ladies, welcome. How interesting to have two girls talking to me about liquor licenses. But Marceline, let's get to know you a little bit. I know you've been on the program before. Tell us what you do at the Ghana Revenue Authority.
Well, I'm manager of the Licensing Revenue Department.
Mm-hmm.
My functions basically entails managing the operations of that unit.
Is it a lot of work?
It is, because we have 5 units, so it's a lot of work.
So that means you deal with a lot of licenses.
A lot of licenses.
Perhaps licenses that things that we don't know that you need licenses for.
Correct.
All right, I'll come back to you with that for you to expound on that a little bit. Ravika, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I'm the supervisor for the liquor trade and miscellaneous unit, and my functions are to make sure that these licenses are being processed in a timely manner and are being issued as well.
So there's a process, there's a time that there's a certain amount of time that it takes to process a license.
Yes, it is.
Is it possible for me to walk into the Ghana Revenue Authority right now and get my license ready within another hour?
No, if you walk in right now, we'll give you a requirement slip, and you have to meet those requirements, those prerequisites first before you can have that license.
Oh, that's
Yes.
interesting. Even if I come with all my requirements, if I've got the requirements and I walk in, will I get it in an hour?
No, you wouldn't.
You wouldn't.
No,
So there's
there
a
is a
time
time,
that you have to
yes.
wait. Okay. So I guess you have to do checks and balances even as we're making the application for those
Yes,
licenses.
we do. You have to, when we're processing it, we look through the documents over there, and we tell you if you're short of anything or if anything is missing from that application, and we'll deal with it then. So,
All right. Marcin, how about we come back to you and you tell me a little bit about licenses that your department issues. I know we're focusing on liquor licenses, but those are not just the licenses that you offer or you issue. Tell me about some of the others.
We also issue driver's license, conductor's license, provisional license, motor vehicle license, as well as shop license.
Shop licenses. So that's quite a lot. And all of these take time.
Yes.
All right, good. Let's get to the topic at hand. So if you're looking to open a rum shop, or you want to open a bar, or you have a cafe and you want to sell some liquor in it, or you have a stall on the street, I'm going to find out if I need a license for that. If I'm selling plantain chips and cassava chips and I intend to sell some beers right in the cooler right there, do I need a license for this?
well, you need a Husker license if you're selling the chips and the other aerated or tobacco, so we
So
have
you need a
license
Husker's
for those.
license.
A Husker's license.
But if
for
I was
that.
selling beer, I don't need a separate liquor license for
we
that.
don't offer license for that.
Okay, great. Well, let's get to the thing in proper now. Liquor licenses, tell me the categories. How does this work?
Well, there are different types of license. There are 2 types. There are one that are being approved or granted internally by an internal board, GRA, and there is an external board, which is a district liquor licensing board that grants a few. The ones that are being granted internally is the malt and wine and the off liquor license.
Off liquor license.
Right.
You know, I've never understood what that meant when they say off liquor. Does it mean that you're off liquor, you're not on liquor? What does it mean?
It basically means that you can purchase these liquor at any store, but you cannot consume it there. You just purchase to takeaway purposes only. You can buy and leave. You cannot consume that liquor there.
You can kind of consume on the premise.
On the
You have to
premises.
buy and take it away.
Oh, that's interesting. I never know that's what it means. So it means that you can actually get your liquor at spot A, but you can't actually stay at spot A and drink it.
No.
Right.
How do you enforce that, though? Do you ever check to see if the drinking actually happens there or not? Or
Yes,
you
we do.
hope that it doesn't?
Well, we're hoping it doesn't, and we check as well. We do checks and balances as well.
See, we learn every time we come in. I never knew that's what it meant. Or I always wanted to know, what does off liquor license mean? Now I understand it means you can't have the liquor on the premises.
premise.
Now, so this, I guess it applies to little shops and so on. What do I have to do in order to get a license like that? What are the requirements?
An off license.
The off license, yeah.
You have to get an approved building plan and housing certificate from the Ministry of Housing, fire certificate, police clearance,
Right.
your ID and your TIN, and 2 application forms.
And you fill those out.
Fill this out and an application fee of $2,000.
Okay, so you pay all of that. And then I come into the Ghana Revenue Authority, and who do I ask for? Your department.
Well, you ask for the Liquor Trade and Miscellaneous Licensing Unit. You approach the clerk, submit your documents, they verify it. They will issue a receipt for you to go pay the $2,000 application fee. And we tell you we will have to do a check your premise. We make arrangement with you to check your premise. And then after everything is okay, it's approved by the internal board.
Okay, so then it goes to a board to be approved.
Correct.
Is the approval automatic in any case? Like, do you, so if I approved last year, I applied last year, and do I have to apply every year, or it's just one time?
One application.
Oh.
Every year now you just do a renewal.
Renewal.
Correct.
So once the application, do you ever do checks after to see that they kept up all the things when they came in the first time?
Sometimes we do. If we have a complaint and the person is not, we will do a check, right? And we do our reports, and then we'll do a follow-up from there.
All right. So off-licensed liquor stores, for those of you who didn't know this before, that means that you can purchase liquor from that particular place, but you can't drink the liquor on site or on the premises. You can't do that. You have to take it and go perhaps up the street and have your drink there, but you can't have it there. What's the reason though? Do they, like, I'm just curious, do they know, like, what's the reason for you not drinking on site, or does that require another license?
Another license,
Oh,
which
so
is the restaurant liquor license.
I
You
see.
can consume liquor, you will not license on the premise.
So if I want to drink it there, I have to get another license?
Correct.
Okay, tell me. Ravika, tell me about this other license. I
Liquor
would need.
restaurant license. The requirements are approved building plan from Ministry of Housing with an approval letter as well. A safety certificate from the Guyana Fire Service, a sanitary certificate, business registration, 2 application form, and a recent police clearance. Now this license not being approved or being granted by the GRA is being granted by an external board, which is made up of 3 magistrates for each district, which is Demar, the Berbice, and the Essequibo district. Those applications are being presented to GRA. We do the processing. We then do a report upon inspection of the premises, and we submit it to this board at a quarterly meeting every year. So it's 4 meetings we have.
Oh, so you can only have your license processed for that particular kind in every 3 months.
Correct.
So if I miss this first batch,
Then you'll go in the second batch.
second batch.
Right.
Okay. So how are the magistrates decided? Do you know who they are, or do you have a system in knowing who those magistrates are?
Yes, we do. We have regular meeting dates, and once we present this, well, GRA have we're the secretary to that board, so we present the application. They ask if you have any questions or so. But before these licenses are being, or the applications are being presented to these magistrates, it has to be must be published and gazetted before.
Okay, so if I want this thing, my name is going to show up there with my business and so on. I'm looking for this license.
Yes, and if you have any objection, the public can object as well if they have any objection to that license before it goes to court.
Okay, so those of you at home, I know sometimes you have people showing up in your streets and you complain about the noise and so on, because once they're applying for these sorts of licenses, you will have some drinking, chances are you're going to have some noise, dancing, and you're going to have noise, and that might bother you. So you need to be checking on the official gazette to look to see if there's anyone applying. And how often do you publish those names?
Also in the newspaper as
And
well.
in the newspapers
Correct.
as well. So it's important you get the Ghana Chronicle. I'm sorry, that's a shameless plug for the Ghana Chronicle, but the information is usually there. Go look it up and then see if you have an objection. It might be your neighbor next door who's applying for this, and you can say this is going to wake up my baby or my dogs. So you get to the board meeting, and then you say, here are the people who've applied.
Well, we get yes, and if they have any question, the magistrate would ask you there. Once everything is okay there, they would grant that license.
What kind of questions do they ask you? Like, have they ever asked you a question?
Before the files are presented to the magistrate, we have to do checks. So we have to inform the magistrate that everything is in order.
Then you've checked everything.
We checked everything before.
Okay. If you've done all the checks and balances, and I'm just curious, if you've done all the checks and balances and you've gone to the board to present it for the license and they've said no, what's usually an objection that they might have, even though you've done your checks and balances?
If it's advertised and somebody has an objection, they have to be present in court.
Oh, when this is happening.
When this is happening as well, they have to send in a letter stating the reason for the objection.
So you can't just snitch on this thing. You can't just
No,
do it
you
hide.
have to
You have
be
to be
present
ready
in
to defend
court.
it.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, so if you're going to raise an objection, you're going to have to be willing to go to court and defend your objection. All right. all part of being good citizens of Guyana, so you want to ensure that you pay attention to these things. Now, so I've gotten the license. How long does it take though? How long does it take? 2 weeks, 5 weeks? How long?
You have to send in your application at least a month before the court date, the meeting date.
How do we know the court date?
It's being advertised. We normally advertise
it, okay.
60 days prior to the date.
So 1 month before, we come in and we say, look, I want to get this license. Then you go and you present.
We publish.
You publish.
We have to publish the license, do our checks. On the day, we present it to the court.
Okay, you present to the court. So do you get like quick responses from the court, or do you have to wait after?
No, as soon as you go.
It's ready. They say approved.
Yes.
And then you come back and you give me a call and say, well, you can come pick up your license.
Correct.
All right. So 60 days, you get a 60-day notice in the papers from the Guyana Revenue Authority. Then you have a month between during which you should send your application in. And then give or take another couple of weeks, and then you get your approval, right? Or not. Once nobody shows up in court to say this person is going to make noise next to me. All right. So we know about off liquor licenses. We know now that you have to. What's this one called? Restaurant liquor. Restaurant liquor license. Okay. Are there other liquor licenses that I can ask for?
Yeah, there's spirit shop license. There's a malt and wine license. There's also a hotel license.
Okay, let's talk about the spirit shop. That sounds interesting. Ravika, you've been extremely quiet. 1 second, Marcy. Yes, and you've been smiling. So, spirit shop. I mean, how is that different from just liquor?
It's basically the restaurant liquor license gives you the opportunity to have a meal with that liquor on the premises, whereas a spirit shop is just drinking, no meal, no nothing. It's strictly drinking and mixing liquor. Sell to consumer on that premises.
So no cutters? No cutters allowed?
No.
Are you serious?
Yes.
I'm going to have to be checking in some of these spirit shops to see if they serve cutters, because I can't see that people will just be sitting there and drinking and not wanting to have any cutters, right? So that's why it's called. But how did you come up with spirit?
Shop.
I mean,
it's in the act, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, the access spirit.
Yes, spirit shop.
Yeah.
I also thought about that some time ago with spirit shop, because we've seen that. We had our own interpretation. We thought it had something to do with the devil and liquor. So it was called spirit shop. So it's actually in the act.
Correct.
All right. So when I want to apply now for a spirit shop, I have to understand strictly I'm only going to serve, in this case, we're drinking guava juice, but it's just guava juice.
Right.
No eating. I can't have any patties with this. I can't have any fried fish, no cheese straws, nothing of the sort. Do you check to see if these things are actually happening? Like, are they enforced? Do you have checks?
We do regular checks, yes. But we don't always reach all the areas, but we do.
But you do have the regional offices, I guess, and
Yes,
they can follow up on that.
Correct.
So spirit shops, interesting. Again, what's the process though? Is it a long process again, or is this a shorter process?
It's similar to restaurant liquor. It's approved by the magistrates, the same checks, same documents required.
So you still have to go to court for this?
Still have to go to
and
court.
people can still raise objection to
Correct.
this?
Yes.
Oh, I
Any
didn't know
liquor
that.
license that's approved by the external board, you could raise an objection.
Okay. All right. So remember, if you want to raise an objection, you have to look at the external board. So we know now, I was going to say Chinese restaurant liquor license. No, it's not. It's restaurant licenses. Then we have the liquor license, off liquor license. Then we now just heard about the spirit shop. Now you mentioned 2 others, I think, or 3 others.
Hotel license.
Hotel licenses.
Yeah.
Okay.
As if you have a hotel and you want to sell liquor on the premise, to consume on the premise.
So, this is the thing, because sometimes when we think about a hotel license, we don't realize that we think that once you get a hotel license, it gives you've got carte blanche. You can pretty much do all the things you want to do. Often we don't think that you have to apply separately for all these licenses in order for you to carry on your business. So getting a hotel does not necessarily mean you can automatically sell beers and drinks and food or whatever. You have to also apply for other licenses. Okay. Any other liquor licenses that you issue?
We have the malt and wine license. That's
Okay.
just to sell, as you said, the beers and the malt and stuff. Anything below 11.6% alcohol is the malt and wine license. It's a simpler procedure. You have to have the approval plan from Ministry of Housing, the fire certificate, the housing certificate, the business registration, sanitary certificate. We also do inspection for that, and it's being approved internally.
Okay. So that's a quick process again. Doesn't
Very
take too
fast,
long.
yes.
All right. Any of these have like time limits, so you can only sell after a certain time, or you could sell up before a certain time? Any of the licenses say that?
In the Act it does, but the police usually handles the time limit to any businesses, yes.
This is quite an interesting discussion. We are talking about liquor licenses on today's edition of Let's Talk Tax, and I'm chatting with Marceline Fields. She is the manager of the License Revenue Division, and she is joined by Ravika Singh, who is the supervisor for the liquor trade and miscellaneous licenses. We are going to be right back after these messages.
Wish to make an objection to an assessment of duties or taxes, or both? Then do so in writing to the Commissioner. Your application must state precisely the grounds of your objection, and it must be made within 15 days from the date of the served notice of assessment. To appeal the Commissioner's decision, address your notice in writing to the VAT Board of Review, the Income Tax Board of Review, or the Customs Tariff Tribunal where applicable. The mailing address is P.O. Box 101564. For inquiries, call 656-7356. For more information, call our tax hotline 227-6060, extensions 1201 to 1204, or visit our website www.gra.gov.gy.
It's new, it's convenient, and now online. That's right, your license transaction status is now online. You can check on the status of that driver's, trade, and miscellaneous or any other license by visiting GRA's website and clicking on the license transaction checkout. Avoid unnecessary traveling and long queues. Check your license status before visiting the GRA. Check us out at www.gra.gov.gy. GRA, your partner in development.
So if you're just joining us, this is GRA's Let's Talk Tax. As you know, this is a weekly program where GRA offers to the public information on the processes and the procedures you have to adhere to when you are going to do anything at the Ghana Revenue Authority, whether it's getting your licenses, if you have to do VAT, you have to file your income tax and so on. We've been doing that for a number of years on this program. Today, however, we're giving you specific information on liquor licenses. We do know that many of you have brilliant ideas. You want to open a bar, you want to get a restaurant going, you want to open a shop, and you want to be able to sell some drinks. We're telling you today on this program what's the procedure, what you have to do in order to be able to sell your drinks without being in violation of any of the laws or acts in Guyana. So we have Marceline Fields and Ravika Singh with us, and they are from the License Revenue Division. They don't just deal with liquor licenses, however, they deal with trade and miscellaneous licenses. Before we come back to liquor licenses, though, if you can just quickly tell us some of the other licenses that are issued through your department.
We have aerated license, we have shop license, we have billiards license or pool's table license, we have Huskers license, house agent, and many others. There's just a few.
Okay, so I'm interested in the billiards or pool table. So if I have a bar and I just put in a table, I can't just start playing pools?
No, you need a license for that.
Okay, do I need a license if I have it in my home? No. But if I have a bar and I'm selling drinks, and I just decided I'm going to bring my pool table that I have downstairs, and people are going to play, I need a license.
Correct.
How many of you know that? I know, you didn't know that. I didn't know that either, so this is quite interesting. What's the procedure to get your billiards license?
Well, that's a miscellaneous license. I mean, it's not independent. It depends on, you have to have a shop license before you have a billiards. You can't come and tell us, well, you need a pool table license, we give it to you. You need a shop license, which is an independent license, and then on that you can add a pool table.
Okay, you can add a pool table to that.
Yeah, you can have a pool table.
So if I don't have a shop, but I just want people to come and play billiards, I don't have a shop, I can't do it that way.
Many people mostly have a shop. They won't just put a pool table and just play pool just like that.
I'm trying to spin her today, see if I can get her to say no. So I can't. I have to have two licenses. I have to have the shop license first, and then apply for this pool table or billiards license. Ravika, you wanted to say something.
I just wanted to tell you that it's commercial purposes. It's not something personal. So if you have your personal table at home, then it's okay. You don't need a license.
You don't need a license. Don't worry. You don't have to go calling them up to say, do I need a license?
Right.
All right. So you have. So that's an interesting license. I didn't know that. Are there any other interesting licenses that you offer that you issue? That perhaps the public is not aware that, or is there anything that you need a license for that perhaps the public is always surprised? Do they have to get a license for this?
There is a Husker license, which is like if you have like a small stand. You know, some people have these stands in front of their homes. You need a license for that as well, which is a Husker's license.
So I'm guessing a lot of people don't know that.
A lot of people don't.
So if you're selling sweetie, bread, plantain chip, any of those things,
Correct.
little stall, big stall, a whole big thing in front of your house, you need a license.
Yeah, not a
Yes.
whole big thing.
That would
If you
fall
have
in
it, it's a
another
shop
category.
yes,
That would be a shop license.
So if you have a whole big stand now,
Once
That's
it's-
enclosure.
Once it's enclosed and it's at least 120 square feet, you need a shop
you
license.
need a shop license. Oh, this is getting complicated by the minute, I'm telling you. So you need a shop license for that. So we're on the home stretch for GR's Let's Talk Tax for today, and we continue our conversation on the issuing of liquor licenses. Now, tell me a little bit more about liquor licenses. I know we covered quite a bit in the first part of our program, but objections and so on, anything else we need to know about that?
We just like to inform the public in case there are any objection or you have any issues with any license, you can always call into us and report any license or any place that you feel are not licensed or they're unlicensed, and we'll deal with it from there.
Okay,
We'll
so
do inspections or control visits to
Or they
those
could
areas.
send us a letter.
A letter.
They could write to us, informing us. Don't you have to state their name
All right.
on the letter, and we'll deal with it.
So, since you're talking about that, I want to ask you about something else that we touched on briefly earlier when we talked about the regional offices and so on. So, if I live in Berbice, do you have a licensing office there that I can go to, or do I have to come all the way to Georgetown to get the license issued? How does this work?
Okay, well, as I mentioned earlier, that we have a Demerara District Licensing Board. We have one for Berbice as well, and there are one in Essequibo. So if you're in these districts, you can apply to your respective board. You don't have to come to the Demerara District Licensing Board or come to Georgetown to apply for those licenses.
Is there any license at all that I have to come in town for? It doesn't matter where I live.
You can submit, let's say you want an off license, you could submit your application either in Berbice or Essequibo, and they would forward the documents to Georgetown for approval.
Okay, and there you go. And so they will have to just keep checking with their local offices.
Correct.
I know that the Ghana Revenue Authority just recently introduced the online services where they can track certain things. Is this one of the things you can track to see where your license is at, where the process
Not
is?
liquor license.
Not liquor license.
Not liquor license.
So this will require at least a visitor call if I want to follow up before
Correct.
the actual thing is issued.
Usually when it's approved, we would call the taxpayer for them to come and pay for the license.
Now, I want to ask you about the miscellaneous licenses, because that sounds, we know we have trade and then there's miscellaneous licenses. What are the licenses that fall on the miscellaneous?
We have the aerated, we have drugs license. Like if you have if you're in the market, you're selling over-the-counter drugs, then you have a drugs license. You have to buy that or purchase it from GRA. You have the aerated to sell aerated and mineral water. You have a tobacco license. You have the billiard license, Husker's license.
So all those are miscellaneous licenses.
Licenses.
Now, I know recently we had some of these sport. People can bet, you can do pawn shops and so on. Very often if you pass by a pawn shop or you see them advertising, you'll see them saying that they're licensed. So they have to also approach you for a license?
Yes, they do have to have a license.
What's the procedure for that?
They-
This is for a pawn shop, eh?
Yes, you must have a business registration. You must fill an application form, a recent police clearance, and copy of your ID.
Okay.
And you make applications to GRA.
What about how long does it take in terms of time?
It takes 2 to 3 working days. Depends on the board members. Once everybody is present, it goes through to an internal board for
Okay.
review.
Okay, so you just a quick reminder, there are 2 boards that are responsible for the issuing of these licenses, or the granting or approval of the licenses.
Right.
You have an internal board that's made up of people at the Ghana Revenue Authority, and then you have an external board that's made up of 3 magistrates, 3 sitting magistrates from
Yeah.
the different
And
districts.
different districts.
All right, so some of these licenses, we're just going to ask Marceline to remind us of the licenses that we have to go to the external board for approval.
These licenses are the restaurant liquor, the spirit shop, the hotel license, members club license, and
Members Club.
Members club.
That's interesting. That's another one. So is this like a gym? If you have a gym, that's what you apply for, or what's your members club? It sounds a little bit kinky, but go on. What is it?
Some of the banks, they have members club.
Oh, so that's what
Yeah,
you're talking about.
that's
So this is not a gym. Do I need
No,
a license for a
no.
gym, by the way?
No,
No.
we don't cover that.
You don't cover the gyms. Okay, I'm just curious about that. Okay, so if you have a club and you have members for the club,
Yeah.
so what are the requirements for that sort of license to be issued?
You must have an approved building plan from the Ministry of Housing, the housing certificate, fire certificate, business registration. You must make a letter or have a letter written to the Commissioner of Police to have that club. You must mention the members of those clubs, how much members you have. When you send a letter to the Commissioner of Police, he would send a letter to GRA stating that he given approval for you to have that club there, and then we start with the procedure. This is one of the external board approval, so it would automatically go to the board. We does the inspection and the report.
Okay.
Board as
Again,
well.
so a lot of these things, as we're hearing, it's not just handled by the Ghana Revenue Authority. In this case, the police now is the one saying to the Ghana Revenue Authority, I'm giving you approval. I've given them the approval. Now you go ahead and do your own procedures. All right. So as we're down to our last 3 or 4 minutes or so of our time, is there any area that we might have missed that we didn't get to cover, and you think it's really important that the public should get to know about this?
Well, as we were talking about the liquor licenses, we talked about the malt and wine and the off license. We just like to remind the public that you must have a trade license or a shop license before you can have this license. But you must have an approval from Ministry of Housing for the shop license. You must have the housing certificate, a fire certificate, business registration, copy of your sanitary certificate, and copy of your ID card with an application form. Without a trade license, you would not be able to apply for off license or a malt and wine license.
So you have to have a trade license
Before
first.
you can have
Okay. And so just so you know, all of those things, all the requirements that you just mentioned, they're posted on the website. So you can go to the website, the Ghana Revenue Authority's website, and you can get more information. Marceline?
Also, I want to remind the public that for liquor licenses, renewal for the following year is done in October. Let's say for renewal for 2016 will be done in October 2015.
So you can't wait until January and get this thing renewed?
You can renew, but it will be a late renewal.
Okay.
So we want to encourage the public to come in October to renew for 2016.
So if I'm renewing my license late, does that mean for the period when I don't have an existing license, basically because it's the old ones run out, and the new one has not been issued, I'm not supposed to conduct business?
The renewal, first of all, you have to renew, and for the following year, let's say you renew in October this year for 2016, and in 2016 you actually get the license, the certificate.
Okay.
It's 2 different steps you need to take in order to get the license, not one step. The
Okay.
renewal and issuance of the license are 2 different.
Oh, so that's why you
Yes.
probably start. This is why you start early.
In October.
All right. So there is something I have to ask you as well, and that is, since you're talking about the issuing and the renewal, do you ever revoke licenses? As in, take them back, say we're not?
Again, if someone is issued with a liquor license and they have an objection as somebody complained, they need to write a letter, go to court again, say their objection, reason why in the letter, present their case, and depends on the magistrate.
What his decision is?
Yes.
If
he's gonna,
if your complaint has merit,
yeah.
then he will decide whether or not that
Correct.
person will. Have you had persons or businesses losing their licenses? Do you have any one of those, or it's not usual?
Not
Not
usual.
Not usual.
Yeah.
Because you have
Not
to have grounds on revoking a license. You can't just come in or send a letter stating that you want this license to be revoked because you're not happy with your neighbor, or you have an issue, personal issues and all of that.
So it can't be a
It can't be
spiteful
frivolous.
No, it cannot be. It
Has to be
has
like
to have
solid
be
grounds.
Correct.
You're making
Yeah.
noise and you're keeping me awake and I'm going crazy. Is that one going to work?
Well, the noise is not basically GRE. The noise comes under the police, so we just deal with the licensing purposes.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's more complicated. All of this information is available to you online. Be sure to visit the website. Marceline Fields and Ravika Singh, thank you very much for being. This has certainly been a lively program. Didn't think that liquor licenses can be this interesting. We learned a couple of things today. Liquor licenses, they have so many categories. You can actually sell liquor, but you can't consume it. It can't be consumed on the premises. And then there's the spirit shop, and then there's your malt and wine, and I'm guessing cafes and little bars, and so they will be issued with those malt and wine. If you want to open a little wine bar, that's a cool thing to do, then this is the sort of license that you would want to apply for. But all of them, they come with a sort of prior license you have to have, which might be your trade license or your Huskers license and all of that. So you have to, in order for you to get the license you need to know the process. We hope that we were able to give you that. More information can be had online, and I'm sure when you see a rebroadcast of today's program on any of the other stations, you'll get more information. Until next time, on behalf of the production team, I'm Juanita Huber, and wishing you all the best. Bye for now.